Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me. For those that joined me and stayed with me through the live stream yesterday, remember what we saw right before I ended the live stream? Somebody asked me, and we were looking at bearish and bullish divergence. And I mentioned bearish divergence for UAL. And that thanked the person because that was the play I was going to enter in. UAL puts yesterday, UAL dropped 6.5%. Let's remember pre-market the morning before. I said expect a 2-point drop if the markets are green end of day, or 2-point increase end of day if the markets were red. What did we see right before the end of the day? 2-point drop. So again, 2 for 2. We'll figure out how I'm going to trade today. If I'm going to talk about what happened, again, we have PPI numbers coming out this morning, so we'll see what the market does.
March release
There we go. I think it just turned red, so we'll see.
Hitting the wires,
Red, green.
239,000 on initial claims, a little bit higher than we expected, and 239,000. Well, it's just the highest since we had 246,000 the week of the 24th of March. And what's notable here is that how much higher all of these numbers are after last week's benchmark revisions. Continuing claims, 1,810,000. And that is lower than the 1,823,000 in the rearview mirror. And after those benchmark revisions where we couldn't get above 1.7, last week's 1.823 million happened to be the highest since DECE of 21. Now, inflation numbers down 0.5% on headline PPI, down 0.5% on headline PPI. That is a cycle low that usurps -0.3 from July of last year, -0.1 if you strip out food and energy, -0.1. Well, the current last month at 0 was the cycle low, so you could see we've taken that out as well. Up 0.1 if you look at ex-food, energy, and trade, well below the 0.3 we are expecting. Let's get into the 1 year-over-year numbers. PPI final demand, or the headline number year over year, breaches 3% at 2.7. 2.7. The high water mark there was 11.7 in March of 22. 3.4 if you take out food and energy year over year. 9.7 was the high water mark there. 3.6 if you look at ex-food, energy, and trade. All of these are significantly lower than the rearview mirror, especially after the revisions, which pushed those year-over-year numbers higher. Yields dropping, Dow futures rallying. Joe, it's all yours.
Yeah.
All right. So this kind of is how I was going to start out the show anyway. What I was going to say is, if we zoom out, the market continues to buy the dip. We're headed into recession. Buy the dip. Bad news. Buy the dip. The market's been fading higher. Yes, it's been lighter volume, but yesterday's CPI numbers came in cooler or lighter than expected. Okay. So the market shot up. I think we saw pre-market 413, something to that extent. Understand what I believe is going on is consolidation. We are at the top ends of everybody's chart, whether you're looking at, doesn't matter what stock you're looking at. We're at the top ends, and people are expecting a drawback unless we break through, unless we're seeing consolidation. Again, I'm a bear, so for these words to come out of my mouth doesn't make sense. But again, I trade the market. I don't trade emotion. So we can talk about a bunch of things. Again, yesterday, if you stay with me through the end of the live stream, we were looking at Discord, and we noticed bearish divergence on UAL, and I said that was going to be my trade of the day. I was going to get into some UAL puts. And with that said, I made some money yesterday. So let's talk about what's going to go on today, and then we'll talk about some issues going on. But first, let's just bring up the SPY, the dark pool levels, okay? Now, we saw support. Right now, we're at 409.10, okay? So we're up probably like 0.25% pre-market. Not anything to, write home about. But let's look at the dark pool levels. Let's make sure this is the cues that somebody went, and I was just on the SPY. There's the SPY. Okay, so SPY dark pool level. If you remember, let me just make sure it's on the screen. It is. If you remember yesterday, the dark pool level was at 411.07. So that 411.07 faded down just a bit and has turned into 410.03. So I suspect the market will definitely cross this 410.03. Now, whether it crosses and goes north to the next level, which is a ghost zone. So understand, if it crosses 410, if you see 411.14, if you see 411.40, understand the market's going higher. It's going to 415. Simple fact. Ghost zone here, next level higher, 415. So if we cross 410 and 410 acts as support, your market will get stronger. And then you can say, what about all this selling off yesterday? And that's what I was going to mention just before. The selling off yesterday happened around 2:30 p.m., a couple minutes prior. And what happened at 2:30 p.m. is the Fed minutes were released from the Fed's last meeting. Okay. So nothing new was reported. It was just the Fed minutes were released. And the Fed minutes said that the Fed staffers, that everybody agreed on 25 basis points last meeting. Some people thought 50 basis points was in order, but all of the Fed staffers said that we're heading into recession. Okay, yeah, we're definitely seeing a recessionary, data coming out right now. We're going to head in recession. Not the chairs, but the staffers said that. So that basically drove down the market. Now, what did it really change? If you sit back and look at it, well, we're still talking about 25 basis point increase in May. We're still talking about possible increase in June, but not really. And there's still 2 rate cuts on the table before the end of the year. So nothing, absolutely zero change. So when we took a dive yesterday and went down there, what happened? Big institutions, big money, saw some opportunities. Now, they weren't buying NVIDIA. They weren't buying some of these other stocks, but they certainly were buying McDonald's, which again hit an all-time high yesterday. Netflix is popping this morning. There was a little buying yesterday before close. So people said to me, why did I get into? Okay, so that's number one. Number two is I got into some calls right before the market closed. I put it on our trading chat. Somebody says, anybody holding anything overnight stocks? And I said, I'm going to get into calls. There was 6 minutes to market close. I didn't buy them until 2 minutes left to market close. Why? Because I'll remind everybody again, zoom out, bigger picture. All these institutions that are taking long positions, whether it's oil, healthcare, energy, it doesn't matter to me. They're not simply day trading. They're not entering a trade to get out 3 days later. These are longer term positions. It's a sector rotation. They continue to buy. They continue to have massive amounts of money on the sidelines. So I don't think the market is necessarily going to collapse. I think certain companies that don't manage themselves, control their cash flow well enough, yeah, those companies are still going to struggle. And we can mention a bunch of those as well. I can go through, but right now I was looking at Netflix this morning. Netflix is popping. So that's just a streaming play. I think Coinbase will come back up. Bitcoin spiked over 30,000. So these are some of the things I'm looking at. Now, if the market fools me and it says, yeah, we tricked you with that pre-market hype and it sells off today, again, the levels I'm going to look for, because I'll have both scenarios ready to play the market today. So my bear case scenario is, okay, we make it up to 410. We see a quick rejection at 410 and we shoot down to yesterday's low, 407.44. Understanding that if we hit yesterday's low at 407.44, we'll probably hit the next level down, which would be, I think it's like 405. Let me just see, bring up Discord again. Yeah, 405.08. I was going to say 405 flat. Now, what you can see is this is very light level as well. So if the market does turn bearish, and we're sitting right here where my cursor is, if we turn bearish and this is a ghost level, you could see 402.61 plus or minus 20 cents. So let's call it 403. All right. So market gets really ugly today and tomorrow. Bear case scenario, 402.66. All right. There you go. Bull case scenario, I already mentioned the ghost zone. Let's just say we saw consolidation, ghost zone at 412 this. So we're battle 410. 410 runs out of energy. We finally break through. If 410 breaks through, there's a ghost zone right here at 412.50. You're going all the way up to 415. So your bull case scenario for the next 2 day run out would be 414, 415. Your bear case scenario is right around 403. Do we hit that today? I really don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I want to put both scenarios in your head so that when you see a morning dip and then you see volume and you see the market coming back like we saw, a few days ago. And then I wanted to put on your head yesterday, what happened? They sold the spike. Again, bears like me, that's been my attitude. Sell the spike, any gap up, sell the gap up. If we gap down, sometimes I buy calls on the gap down because we've been trading a very narrow range. I mentioned it 2 days ago that we've been closing at 409, 410, 408, 409, 409. We closed at 408.05 yesterday, and there was bearish sentiment in the market pushing us down below 408. But we still closed at 408. So again, if I was going to guess the close today, I would say, well, we just hit the 408 number. I'm going to say 409, 410. So 410 close. Where are we going to spike up to? 411 and slight change. where we're going to drop down to. Maybe a little under yesterday's low until we find support. So 407.22 on the downside. 407.22 on the downside. 411.17 on the upside. We got about a 4-point range, which fits right in the range of the SPY. If you follow the SPY on a daily basis, it's generally trading 4.5 points each day. A narrow day would be like 2.8 or 3 points. So again, yesterday, if we look at the SPY, I think we traded top side was, let's see, SPY yesterday, 412.17, 405.40, 407.44. So what is that? 4.7 was the range. So when I say 4.5 point range or 4-point range is an accurate provider, how do you actually use that? So let's just dumb it down, okay, for everybody. Let's say you find the bottom of the SPY. You can't do anything else good in the market. Your trading sucks, but you find the bottom of the SPY. You're like, man, we keep bouncing off that 408, 408, 408. When I see 408 today, I think we're going to bounce off 408. So 408 flat is the absolute low today. Let's just say it's the absolute low for this scenario. You're going to go 4 points higher and say 412. So at some point today, we're going to hit 412. If 4808 is locked in as the absolute low, and we're going to at least trade 4 points or 3.8, you're going to see 411.80 or something to that extent. So it's easy to understand. Now, somebody mentioned, is there a play on Baba? I wish I had my crystal ball for this one. Why? Because, I always take pictures of things and write down things that are interesting to me. So I have a bunch of stuff on the SPY. But here's the thing about Alibaba. SoftBank, right? Japanese company, SoftBank. They're the largest shareholder of Alibaba. They plan on selling their entire stake of the company, and they own approximately 13%. Why do they announce something like this? Do they announce it to force the price down? No, but that's the effect that it had on Alibaba when they made the announcement. If they're selling their shares, they want the price to go up. So how do they sell their shares? Well, they make an announcement like this because it tells everybody in the open market, meaning other banks, other institutions, other big money, other hedge funds, hey, we're selling our stake. If somebody wants to jump in and purchase our stake, let's do something in the dark pool, right? Dark pool off market. So I wish I knew. I saw Alibaba was down as much as 4% when the news was announced, and it was down to 90. And then I saw it pop, and now it's green pre-market. It's probably at like, what was up like 1.26%. Let's just see where Alibaba is. There's not much movement there. Alibaba up 1.1%. So again, would I want to hold Alibaba after that news? Not really. But I know there are a lot of institutions that have strong positions in Alibaba. So I mean, it's kind of a toss-up. But if I was going to look at Alibaba and say I'm not really sure what to do, what would I do? I'll go to Discord, right? And I would type in my Alibaba search. Let's look at the Algo Flow. Now, why did this work out yesterday? Because the Algo Flow yesterday, when we were looking at United Airlines, said it was the opposite. The red line is the algo. So let me make sure you guys can see this with me. Okay, you can, but I'll make it a little larger. All right, so the red line is the algo. So the algo is saying the stock price should be at $96.30. The yellow line is telling you what the actual stock price is, that it's $94.40, whatever it is. They generally cross over or intersect here, here, and they will do it again. So when the Algo Flow was telling you up here and the stock price is down here, yes, the Algo Flow came down a little, but generally the stock goes up when we meet someplace in the middle. Now, what did we see yesterday? We saw the opposite with UAL. Let's just take a look at UAL today. It probably caught up. Algo Flow, UAL. But the algorithm was telling me the stock price. Yeah. So yesterday, someone else did a search. Here we go. Yesterday, the stock price was all the way up here, and the Algo Flow was all the way down here. And I said bearish divergence, meaning the algos are telling you the price should go down a whole bunch. So let's just see if we can see anything else. I want to see where the algos are telling me for DraftKings. That's not enough popular. So let's see NVIDIA. Let's look at NVIDIA, Algo Flow. And if you guys have stocks you want me to check out, ask me. I'm just doing this because I'm hoping to find a trade for today. Yesterday, I found UAL. Again, you're seeing the same. See, right here, when the Algo Flow drops under the stock price, say you caught that drop yesterday, and you say that, you obviously know NVIDIA is going down. So again, let's just one I'm looking at. I don't know if there's enough action in the ones I'm looking at, but let's look at Upstart, because there's been demand for Upstart, yet it sold off yesterday. Not really enough. There did cross over, so the algos are a little higher. So I could be bullish here in a longer term position. I don't think there's enough volume. Let's look at its neighbor. Its neighbor being a firm. You look at a firm. Yeah, not enough information there. All right, so that happens. If there's not enough information, that means there's not enough volume there. Again, if you have any questions or you want to look at your stocks, let's go ahead. Tell me what stocks they are. But I'm going to look at a couple different stocks. Gentleman yesterday mentioned Micron, possibly shorting. Looked good yesterday, but the SPY is up 0.33% pre-market. So somebody will say, don't worry. Yesterday, that shit was up to 413 pre-market. We opened at 412 and we sold off right away. Well, who tells everybody that was a possibility? I mentioned light volume, anything can happen. The fact that we weren't pushing higher. Okay. Thoughts on Boyle? Well, Boyle, again, there's a gentleman on our platform, Russ, who knows his like family. I introduced this ETF to everybody. It's a natural gas 3-time ETF. But Boyle seems to have support. It found support in the $2 and change range. Now Boyle's trading at $3 and change. So Russ buys Boyle every time it's $3.05 to $3.15. He sells it in the $3.50, $3.60 range. I wouldn't change that strategy. Even if Boyle doesn't make that low to $3.05 today, tomorrow, the next day, I wouldn't change your strategy. I would buy in the same range and sell in the same range because it's worked. When you start saying, oh, Boyle has support at $3.50, I'm going to buy Boyle at $3.50 and ride it up to $4, what's going to happen one day next week? It's going to lose 15% and go down to $3.05 before it goes up. So you're always going to have that opportunity to enter. Any thoughts on Apple today? Yeah, let me take a look at Apple. Again, Apple's going to lead the market. Remember when we used to last summer, last September, last May, we would see markets drop 600 points in one day. And I'd be like, holy shit, for some reason, I think it's going to bounce 600 up the next day. Well, that hasn't happened in a while. Market direction has been kind of following. However, I feel like they're going to buy the dip. So I actually think the market's going to bounce higher. So if we're selling off, we're going to bounce higher. Now, overall, I'm looking for the market to go down. But I happen to think we're going to ride higher all the way to 422 before we go down. That's just what I am personally thinking. I am a bear, so I'm ready to flip there. But Apple looks pretty strong pre-market. Again, it's been pretty flat. So when I look at Apple, I'll just simplify it. You have 4 days of inflow, 2 days of outflow, 2 days of inflow, 2 days of outflow. Where are we? We're at the same. Actually, we're 3 points higher from 157.62. So we're 160 and change, maybe 161 pre-market. Yeah, I mean, if it's an outflow day, what are you going to see? 157.62, 158. So if it's an outflow day, Apple will drop 2 points. However, if there's an inflow day, it could be a quick reversal, and we could ride Apple up to 163, up 3 points. Again, you'd have to see, and I compare everything to the SPY or the S&P. When you look at Apple and you say, if I wanted to go to 163, I'm in calls or something to that extent, then I need the SPY to go up to, 411. Is that a possibility? Yes, it is. Okay, I could do that. Now, here's the thing about Apple. Apple is trading such a narrow and tight range. Apple is the number one stock held by institutions, hedge funds, long-term investors, right? So if you're looking to play puts on Apple, first you're spending a lot of money because the IV and Apple's just an expensive stock. So you're buying puts options. So you're spending more money. And then Apple has limited downside because they come out with bad news, 40% less deliveries. Foxconn supplier having problems as well. Problems in tech. Are they selling off Apple? No, Apple was 141, 145, 137, made it to 154, struggled at 151 on the way up. Now it's at 160, and we're like, yeah. So I would stay away from puts. As far as calls, now you're saying, is it possible for Apple to go from 160 to 170? Probably not so quickly. If Apple's going to go to 166, up 6 points, it's probably going to take a week and a half. So without any major movement in these components that make up the SPY, the S&P, the NASDAQ top 100, you got to look for good movement from other stocks, either stocks that are overbought or oversold. But I would stay away from Apple. What do we got here? I'm looking at SPY, and I agree that consolidation, possible break. So here's the thing. We are at the top end of the range, right? So everybody's charting it. Everybody's charts show like this, show rejection from yesterday off the top. So people are like, automatically, we're just going to shoot down because I saw rejection at the top yesterday. And a lot of institutions took their long positions off the table based on the action that we saw yesterday. But let's remember, the market has been fading higher since 392. Granted, we're not exploding, but we're sitting at 408 right now. So even when you get that pop 392 to 395, and even though you say you get another 4-point pop in there, you're still fading higher 1 point each day on average, 1.5 points each day. So that's just what I see there. What What about Shop? I don't really follow Shop. If I was going to look at Shop is a more spec play. I would have to group Shop with Amazon. I'd have to group Shop with Etsy, put them all on the same watch list so that I see what its industry is kind of doing. Now, the one thing that would scare me about Shop is yesterday's volume was pretty intense. So even if you get a dead cat bounce or we bounce higher on Shop, I wouldn't necessarily think we're going to go up and visit that $48 range again. Again, what I'm probably going to look to do is, I know there's not confidence in this market, but we can be consolidating. So I will be selling the spikes and buying the dips. I'm not sure I want to get put crazy like I was the other day. Again, it took till what time the other day? 3 p.m. 3 p.m. We saw the last 2-point drop. And again, just to give a lesson real quick, everybody have patience, because if you got involved with that drop yesterday or the drop, and some people said yesterday is just going to repeat Tuesday's action. So we're looking for a last, 1 hour drop, and they saw it from 411. We dropped all the way to 407 and change, right? So your returns on those plays can be anywhere from like 600% to like 2,000%. So you don't have to put a lot of money in. But if you want to be a patient, successful trader, you're really looking for the best entries. You're looking for a crazy spike in the market or a crazy dip to get in the counter position if you believe that the market's going to rebound. Now, I already think we've been trading a pretty tight range for the last week and a half. We haven't really broken out to the upside, nor have we broken out to the downside. And the market seems to have support, and the support levels are moving up. 392.5. The last support level I saw was 408. So we did break the 408 support yesterday, which tells me we could be turning bear. That's what everybody saw. Top of the charts, right? We're flipping bear. All right. So looking at Shop, I got to go back 3 months. Again, the last time it had volume sell off like this, it continued to sell off for another 2 weeks before it started popping higher. So again, it continued. If I'm going to be a bear, if I'm going to be a bear in the market and I see the market going down to 405, then yeah, I get in Shop puts. If I'm going to be a bull, then I'm going to stay away from Shop altogether. Let's look up a couple other stocks. And I can tell you what stocks are on my watch list, and we'll probably do that. General Mills doesn't look like it has the best demand. I would probably stay away from that. Puts, if you were going to be in puts, I think you have limited downside on General Mills. So again, there's nothing really to look at there. What is that? LRCX. At least I can see. I can't talk. Oh, Lamb Research. Okay. Again, patterns. You can get into calls if you think you're going to turn around and see that. The upward momentum there. Oh, fuck, I screwed that one up. But again, I don't follow it enough like family to tell you. Now, Interface Energy, again, energy sector. If we're heading into recession and recession is confirmed, then yes, I want to short Exxon, oil, energy sector. But again, every time I've said that, the markets say, oh, look at China. China's reopening. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is not a problem. Oh, we're not going into recession. So again, I don't want to tell you one way or the other, but we are headed into recession if we're not there already. It's just when people accept that we're in recession, oil's going to go down. Okay? That's what I can tell you. All right. So what other stocks are on my watch list? I like to look at Okay, I like to look at the Russell. So the Russell, the IWM, which is the Russell 2000, is made up of the smaller cap tech stocks. So when I look at Russell, I'm going to pull out, where am I going here? Let's see, go down my list. Here we go. Snap. I went into Snap yesterday at $10.60. Why? Man, Snap, if I look at it on a shorter term basis, it had 6 of the last 9 days inflow. It looked to have bottomed. As long as the market doesn't throw up on itself, then I think Snap can run above $11 again. Well, at $10.60 up to $11, get an option, go out a week. I'm safe there. So I think. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm looking at the financial sector. I use this as my tracker. Again, I think banks are to come in, and banks don't report earnings until tomorrow. So I think banks are to come in shitty. However, and banks will take the market lower. But until banks start missing on earnings and reporting some bad shit, I happen to think the market's going to push a little higher, just like we saw the run into CPI, the run into yesterday, right? Monday and Tuesday, we went up, we faded higher into CPI. With CPI coming in calm, guess what? the market bought the rumor that CPI was going to come in. When the news came out yesterday morning that CPI was in line or a little cool, the market sold the news. All right, we're back at 408. PPI, right, came in cool. What is the market going to do? Well, the market's basically going to decide, are we consolidating? We're going to push higher and break out. And if we break out, we're going to like 422 before I could see rejection and throwing up on itself and stuff like that. So that could take a week. It could take 8 trading days. I'm not really sure. Again, I'm more counting on earnings. So if earnings start disappointing, then the market will go down. All right. So what other stocks do I have on my list? Square and Coin. Square finally has been going down for like 6 straight days. Finally had 2 outflow days yesterday and the day before. But again, Square and Coin following crypto, Bitcoin over 30,000 again. The chart for Bitcoin looks like this. Okay. Yes, it could definitely curve over and go back down. But as long as the chart for Bitcoin, and I said this 5 days ago, looks good, then I believe stocks like Coinbase, Mara, Riot will do well. And yes, they've been bought up like crazy and up like crazy. Let's just see where Mara and Riot are this morning now that the market's little. So everybody understand that Mara is now at a cheaper price than Riot. We had a sell-off yesterday. Of course we did. Market outflow. I'm sure they'll be buying it back today. Yeah, I mean, the stock chart looks like the Bitcoin chart. So as long as Bitcoin continues to go higher. Now, I think we're talking August of 2024. So we still have some time to go. But Bitcoin life will half, meaning you'll have to generate 2 times as much work and use 2 times as much energy to get 1 Bitcoin. I think it's halving in August of 2024. So there is some time, but I expect Bitcoin to fade up until then. And when we start hearing people talk about the half-life next year, then it's going to skyrocket up. So, I mean, as Bitcoin and crypto continue to rise, I'm okay with doing coin options. I got into puts the other day. I was correct. Bitcoin was going up, but I got into coin puts. Remember, anyway, so let's see what else other questions we have. No other questions. Losing my voice. Appreciate everybody joining me. Please join me tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. We're talking about Lotto Fridays. So I'm going to mention at least 2 plays. Remember, 2 days ago, SPY dropped 2 points prior to close. Yesterday, UAL dropped 6.5 points. Today, what did we talk about? Let's see what the play of the day is. Play of the day is, you know what? I'll drop it on Discord. I got to find it right now. So please follow me over to Discord if you want. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Thanks.